Hey, Algebra 1 students. In this video, I'm going to explain the concept that we discussed in our third lesson on multiplying polynomials. There are special products that in algebra that follow particular rules, and if you can memorize the pattern, if you can learn to recognize the pattern, then it will save you a lot of time when it comes time to start to factor quadratic equations and other polynomial equations. The first one is called the difference of squares. And it's called a difference of squares because the structure of the binomial itself is a perfect square term, a squared, and another perfect square term, b squared, separated by a minus sign, a difference, okay? This happens to factor, it happens to be made up of two binomials that look like this. A term A plus a term B times a term A minus a term B. So when you see these two binomials, if you can learn that this is a difference of squares, you automatically know what the product is going to look like, a squared minus b squared. When we learn how to factor, which is break apart a sum into a product, if you see this, you should be able to recognize that, oh, I know how I'm going to break this apart. I'm going to break this into a plus b times a minus b. And here is a numeric example of this type of special product, okay? 3x plus 2 times 3x minus 2, and look what it equals, 9x squared minus 4. So you could square 2, you could square 3x, and then you could stick a minus sign in between them. The other special product that we learn about in Algebra 1 is the square of a binomial. This is a very important structure to the quadratic unit in Algebra 1. A plus B quantity squared. Now mind you, what that means is A plus B in parentheses times A plus B in parentheses. And the way you say it is A plus B quantity squared. Okay? You can also have the square of a binomial that's a difference. Okay? A minus B quantity squared. Okay? It just so happens that there is a special name for the trinomial that you get when you multiply two binomials that are exactly the same together. Okay? They have a special name for it. It's called a perfect square trinomial. And these come in very handy in our quadratics unit. This is why we are learning these little skills now that we are going to match with other puzzle pieces. Remember my puzzle piece analogy of learning math. You start with small pieces and then you put them together with other pieces to form more complete pieces, more complex pieces of the Algebra 1 puzzle. Okay? Now the structure of these perfect square trinomials are a squared term is your first term. Your last term is a squared term and always positive. And your middle term is 2 times A times B. And the sign of the second term is dependent on the sign of the binomial. If the binomial is a difference, your second term is negative. If the binomial is a sum, then the sign of your second term is positive. Okay? And here is your numeric example. We have x plus 3 times x plus 3. We do our distribution. I don't care how you do it. You can do the box method. You can split one of these binomials apart and multiply each term by the second binomial and do that twice and combine your like terms. Or you can just double distribute x times x, x times 3, 3 times x, 3 times 3. Okay? And then you combine your like terms. All right. Thank you guys for listening. I hope this makes sense to you. There are also many other videos that talk about special products. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.